The slap echoed across the training yard like a gunshot, sharp, unexpected, wrong. Every head snapped toward the source. The lieutenant stood rigid, jaw clenched, palm still slightly trembling from the strike he'd delivered. And in front of him, the new female recruit he'd just hit didn't stumble, didn't cry, didn't even flinch. She simply lifted her chin and stared at him with calm, icy stillness. It was the calm that scared him. She wiped a thumb across the corner of her lip, checking for blood. None. Her eyes lifted again, steady, measuring him like he was a puzzle already solved. The nearby recruits exchanged uneasy glances. No one breathed. "What's your problem, recruit?" the lieutenant barked, trying to re-establish dominance. She didn't answer. He stepped closer. "I'm talking to you." Her gaze didn't shift, didn't soften. "Permission to speak freely, sir." Her voice was low, controlled. He scoffed. "Denied. You don't get to ask for permissions after ignoring direct orders." She tilted her head. "I didn't ignore them, sir. You gave the wrong command sequence." A ripple spread through the recruits. If looks could break regulations, they already had. The lieutenant's face darkened. Insubordination was one thing, but calling out his mistake in front of everyone. Unacceptable. "You think you know more than your commanding officer," he snapped. Her lips twitched. Not a smile, more like a flicker of a truth she chose not to speak. "No, sir." He leaned in until their noses nearly touched. "Then why are you looking at me like that?" Her voice softened. "Because you don't want the answer." A few recruits silently took half steps back. Something was off. Something was wrong. The new girl wasn't scared, wasn't angry, she looked disappointed. And that terrified them more than anything. The lieutenant grabbed her by the collar, yanking her forward. "You're going to learn respect in my yard, recruit." But that was when the air shifted. Her posture subtly changed, shoulders lowering a centimeter, weight adjusting to the balls of her feet, eyes locking onto his like she was analyzing weakness rather than reacting to aggression. A few recruits recognized the stance. They'd only seen it on documentaries or in combat footage. Predatory, efficient, trained. "Release me, sir," she said quietly, "before you do something you regret." He laughed. "Or what?" She finally spoke the words that made the entire yard stiffen. "I don't want to hurt you." For the first time, the lieutenant's confidence wavered. He pushed her back instead, covering the moment with a sneer. "You hurt me. You think you're some kind of..." A sudden shout cut across the yards. "Lieutenant, step away from her, now." A commander marched toward them, eyes wide with disbelief as he recognized the recruit. His voice boomed. "Sir, do you have any idea who you just put your hands on?" Silence fell, and the lieutenant felt the first stab of dread. Because he didn't know, but he was about to. The lieutenant's throat tightened as the commander approached, boots slamming against the concrete with the kind of urgency that made every recruit straighten instinctively. Even the air seemed to thicken. The commander stopped just a few feet away, staring at the new recruit as though she were a live grenade someone had casually kicked across the yard. "Lieutenant," the commander said, voice low and controlled, "you were briefed about an incoming transfer, weren't you?" The lieutenant swallowed. "Sir, I received a note about a provisional assignment, but it didn't specify." "It specified enough," the commander cut sharply. Then he turned to the recruit. "Ma'am, are you all right?" "Ma'am." The word hit the yard like a second slap. Recruits blinked. The lieutenant went pale. Because commanders didn't call ordinary recruits, "Ma'am." She nodded once. "I'm fine." The commander exhaled in relief, then faced the lieutenant again. "Do you understand what you just did?" The lieutenant tried to speak, but nothing came out. His mind raced. His memory scrambled. No rank insignia on her uniform. No division patch. A generic name tag. No training history provided. Too quiet. Too calm. Too precise. Then the commander spoke the words that changed everything. "She's a Navy SEAL." Gasps broke across the yard. Someone whispered, "You're kidding, a SEAL." "Here," another recruit muttered, trembling, "we're dead." But the lieutenant felt his knees weaken. "Sir," he breathed, "she's, what? She can't be. She's in a recruit uniform." The commander pinched the bridge of his nose. "Because she's undercover. She's here to evaluate training protocols. And you just struck her." A cold sweat ran down the lieutenant's spine. The commander continued, voice heavy with disbelief. "This is Lieutenant Commander Mara Hale, call sign, Silent Riptide. One of the most decorated covert operatives in the Pacific Theater." Recruits stared at her as if she'd suddenly transformed into a legend they'd only heard rumors about. Mara stood still, expression unreadable, as though none of it mattered. The lieutenant stammered, "Ma'am, I had no idea. You didn't identify yourself." She finally looked at him, her gaze cutting through him like a blade. "I wasn't supposed to, and you weren't supposed to lose control in front of your unit." The yard went silent again. The commander folded his arms. "Lieutenant, step back, now." He obeyed immediately, like gravity had changed. Mara stepped forward, her posture calm but heavy with authority. "Lieutenant," she said, "I don't need an apology. But I do need one thing from you." He swallowed hard. "Anything." She pointed to the recruits watching with wide eyes. "Your men are always watching. They learn how to treat others by the way you led. Today, you taught them fear and impulse. Tomorrow, you'll teach them discipline and composure." Her tone wasn't angry, it was worse, disappointed. The commander nodded approvingly. "Well said, ma'am." Mara turned, heading toward the command building. As she walked away, the lieutenant felt his legs finally give a little. Because he hadn't just slapped a recruit. He had slapped a Navy SEAL. A legend. And she had still shown him more restraint than he'd shown her.